Hello everybody, this is Nash with Alpha Phi. Today I'm going to talk about a slightly different topic because I went through this process myself and I wanted to share kind of the steps and some of the things I learned along the way. So we're going to talk about forming a Wyoming holding company or a LLC and why somebody would do that and kind of the basic process of going about executing. So this is just my understanding. I did this for myself and I wanted to share my own personal experience. I'm definitely not a legal advisor, so don't take this as advice, and please do check with a professional before taking any action. Alright, so why would somebody want to set up a Wyoming holding company? It helps protect you and your business from personal liability and keep your assets safe. And Wyoming's a little bit special, and people call it a Wyoming holding company for a certain reason, to hold other business and assets. So really the company is not intended to make or sell anything itself. It just owns one or more other businesses or assets or percentages in other real estate, IP, etc. So we'll go into kind of how that exactly works, but this is why people set them up. So let's say, for example, you have a bunch of LLCs. They could be different businesses, or they could be, an investment property or partial interest in an investment property, say a syndication. So you have percentage shares. There is liability within these LLCs, but the good thing about LLCs is they can't come, they normally have protection, and they can't get, these are little liability arrows that kind of ricochet back into the LLC. The reason your Wyoming Holding LLC is interesting is it holds that interest, and then if you, this is you over here, if you get in a lawsuit or hit somebody and they're trying to come after your assets, the lawsuit, Wyoming particularly, can help you protect your holdings in these other companies. And the reason Wyoming is interesting is they have charging order protection rights, is my understanding, which means they cannot force you to give up your share in these businesses or this real estate. They can force you, the lawsuit, say it's in California or Oregon, they can force you to hand over payments that you take outside of your holding company and go into your pocket. You could be forced to pay those. But you could always just decide not to distribute those, and the charging order would not allow them to get over to your assets that are held in your holding company. So that's the basic kind of visual of kind of how this works. These are general LLCs and why people do that, but this is why the holding company, specifically in Wyoming, with the charging order protection, that is beneficial. Then one lesson I learned when setting this up: don't make your living trust a member of your Wyoming holding. That can create challenges when setting up a bank account and stuff. But what you can do, and this is advice from Anderson Advisors that I found, so talk to them about this in more detail, but you can essentially set up your Wyoming holding. You're the member. You have a operating agreement where you're the member. And then you have a 1 or 2 page assignment doc that essentially says, hey, I assign my rights to my living trust, and attorney would have to help you draft that. But that was one lesson learned. I set it up inappropriately, although I wanted to my holding company to sit within my living or revocable trust. So I'm going to start working on figuring that out next. Okay, so just going into a little more detail, again, this is the limited liability company, and it protects from lawsuits or liabilities within the LLC. They can't come after you personally because you're separated from the limited liability company. So if there's a liability in here, it balances. It can't get to you personally and go after your money. But for Wyoming Holdings, if you get in an accident, it has charging order protection, and they can't get to the assets, but they can get money that comes out. So again, this is for single member LLC, Wyoming LLCs is my understanding. So just be careful with how you structure them and talk to the appropriate people. This is kind of the difference and why it's nice to have protection from both sides. So simple steps for setting them up, and this is kind of, I've set one up in Oregon, I've set one up in Wyoming now, and it's very similar. You have to find the state website, so choose your state. Choose whether your holding company will be an LLC or a corporation. A corporation will have tax implications. An LLC, you can choose the way it's taxed. So be mindful there. Pick a name, draft and sign. These are the, you have to go online and you can do this directly. You can pay people to do it for thousands of dollars, but you can also go on state websites and do it for $100 was Wyoming. So you can do that directly on there, which essentially is your they help form your articles of organization, and that files the paperwork. Once you have those articles of organization through the state, then you can get an EIN, which is basically your federal tax ID. It doesn't cost anything on the IRS website, and it takes a few seconds, a few minutes, and then you can open a bank account. And you need to be, just depending on what state you're in and what you're doing, you may need business licenses, so look at that. And then whether you need to set up subsidiaries or transfer ownerships into the holding company, looking into that. You'll definitely want an operating agreement. The operating agreement basically means it's, a basic agreement for your company. You don't want this to be, I guess I've heard the word hobby. You want it to be a legit business with legit paperwork that says here's what we're going to do and so on. So you want that. You want to sign that. And those are what can cost money through lawyers, or you can find templates through friends that can be repurposed, but it is a little more risky if you're making those tweaks yourself and not a lawyer. So just be very careful with that. So that's kind of the basic steps. It doesn't take anything more than, I'd say, 15 minutes. Probably the biggest one is picking a name for your company. The cost for Wyoming cost me $102 the other day. I think it's $100 plus a $2 fee or something like that, directly with the state website. If you're not in Wyoming, you need to have a registered agent that allows you to put their address in Wyoming. So there's lots of attorneys' offices, if you Google it, that allow you to do that for a small fee. I think I got one for $49, but they can go up to hundreds of dollars. There's an annual filing fee to stay active in the state of $60, and then you need to make sure to file annual minutes with the state and set up your operating agreement. So those are kind of the basics. Oh yeah, do you need an EIN? Well, all corporations should have an EIN. Certain single-member LLCs may have an exemption, but why this is important is it allows you to set up a business bank account that banks will want your EIN, and this keeps the finances separate from you and your LLC, and that because this is a way that people go after you to pierce the corporate veil and say, hey, this isn't a legit business because all these funds are commingled and stuff. So you definitely want to separate your funds and keep it distinct. So yeah, that'd be the recommendation. There's a few links. This is the IRS. It's easily Googleable, but hey, I want an EIN. Google it. It'll give you this link. It takes a few minutes. And then this link to the Wyoming business website. Okay, so this is the Wyoming website. It's called WyoBiz. I hope that's legit. And form or register new business. So you just click in here, click Start Now. Entity type, I want an LLC that's domestic. Yep. Next. Oh, yep, I test that. Yep. All right, business entity name. So pop in your name, confirm your name, and yeah, it just takes a few clicks through here. There are some questions that you have to consider, especially the name, but other than that, it only takes a few minutes. So let me know if you have any questions. Again, this is just something I did recently, wanted to share, and my basic understanding of it. If you have any questions or comments, definitely comment, and let's continue the conversation. All right, thanks. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Also, you can learn more at alphacrusaders.com at the link at the end of this video.